ARHayes, Convicts Thoughts. We're Tuesday afternoon. We're up and rolling. Had an all-nighter last night on Monday. Put out a couple of videos. And here we are. We're back. So, I want to take a moment. I'm going to actually bring you in a little closer to me, personally, myself. And this is not something I normally do, but I think it's important that I open a door and allow you to get to know me, my emotional thinking, my emotional way of handling things, and the reason why I speak upon situations or things that happen in life a little bit differently than others out there. So I'm kind of referencing yesterday's videos I did in regards to the Howard Bloom and Steve Gonsalves situation. I was pretty harsh when it came to Howard Bloom and the fact that he had, to me it just seems like he's opening up some can of worms and getting ready to write a book in regards to this horrifically bad tragedy. And we're talking about the Idaho 4. Now, I came to the realization after thinking a little bit, and I pondered back on what I was discussing, and I realized he never actually clearly stated that he got his info through a conversation with Steve. Now, Steve is obviously Kaylee's father, one of the victims, so he is very invested in this entire case because he wants justice for his daughter. He wants the people that committed this heinous crime to be found, brought to justice, and either live the rest of their life within the penitentiary or possibly even worse. Firing squad is definitely one of their big pushes for whoever committed this crime. And who am I to say that they're wrong? I mean, this was their daughter, their emotional tie that just really... They raised her for 21 years of life. They were proud of her. They loved her with everything they were. And I think the devastation has really brought pain. So, I think an important part of you being able to understand why I speak sometimes the way I do on situations where some people may feel as though I come across as emotionless, or I just don't show a lot of tact in regards to some of the things I say based off of, what's transpiring in a really bad situation like this. And it ties back to the way my life has transpired through the years. Relatively right after birth, I was taken away by the state and put into foster care to endure the whole growing up within a foster care system until adoption, which transpired many of years later. So I wasn't just building a bond with a mom and a dad and siblings from birth. I had to endure the foster care system, which is, it's not peachy. It's not the life to live, that's for sure. Many stories that I grew up learning from my adoptive family was I didn't really even have clothes. I was so excited at, an older age to even get a pair of boots. I didn't learn how to talk properly till I was almost 8 years old. I was malnutritioned. There was a lot of things, and I don't say this because I'm looking for everybody to have pity or feel bad for me. But I believe it's a good sign of why emotionally I struggled at a young age. I didn't have any trust for anybody. Even after being adopted and being brought into a good home with a hardworking mother and father that were very honest and good people in life, I still had no trust. I built no bond. Two siblings that were a part of my adoptive family, one being an older sister, one being a younger brother, and I had no bond with them whatsoever. So I grew up living life on my own. I was very distant from everybody. I handled what I felt like I had to handle my way. It was me making decisions for myself, so I didn't really have to take in a lot of other people's emotional side of things. I didn't have to think about many. I was on my own. I didn't have strong family bonds. So fast forward to, I mean, obviously you endure years upon years within the penitentiary. I mean, you definitely don't make bonds in there that are going to last forever. You don't have friends. You don't have people you trust. You have to watch your back, and you become even more distant. You get into a darker place. You live more within yourself. And the sad thing about that is when you get out of that situation, that darkness doesn't go away. It's not easy to come back into the light, and especially when you've done it your entire life. So yes, I was released. I had a very loving wife who I think to this day would tell you that when I came out, I became out as a darker, more internalized person with less emotion than even when I went in, which made it difficult for her because she's very family tied, very loving, always had a lot of friends, very open, having fun. And then unfortunately, her husband's practically living in the dark of a closet and doesn't even want to leave the house often, making it very difficult for somebody like that because now they've got to darken themselves a little bit to, I guess, kind of cater to my lifestyle, and that's not fair. But getting out of the penitentiary, I met my biological family, not right away in person, so it was even a little more difficult in the sense of building any sort of relationship or bond with them because it was being done via phone calls, text messages, social media messages, so there was really no connection there, no bond, yet it was a chance to try to get to know each other and learn a little something about each other. Still, there I was distant, I was in the dark, and I wasn't even really open to the idea of building that bond. So some of them really wanted to build that bond. They really wanted the older brother to be a part of the family, and sadly the older brother just wasn't really open to it. I would talk to him, I would listen to him, but I didn't go out of my way to build any sort of bond with him. So I think in my thinking of, trying to feel what these families of the victims are going through, it's hard for me, even though I endured something not long ago that would be on a similar basis, not quite as graphic or as bad, and really the reasoning for that is because I didn't have a bond with my biological brother like these families had with their children. So a couple years ago, I lost my younger brother, my biological younger brother. I got a message out of nowhere from my sister stating that he had passed. Wasn't a lot of information in the original message to me. And then I kind of opened the door. I felt for her because they were very, very close. So, of course, I was trying to be somewhat supportive in a distant way for her. And that's when I found out some of the details that many did not feel as though he had actually taken his own life, even though law enforcement had said that he had taken his own life. It was a suicide. The entire family, after I got to speak with more of them, came to the conclusion they felt like his significant other had taken his life. And I started to kind of piece things together. I did not bond well with him right at the meeting point and the back and forth with getting to know each other because of his lifestyle and his life choices. Unfortunately didn't fit to the way that I thought or things that I was okay with. So I kind of pushed him away, which I didn't recognize the key points that he was actually reaching out for help. I think the majority of the family saw me as kind of the strongest personality out of everybody. I was the coldest when it came to emotions. I could handle more without getting overly emotional. I didn't back off on my beliefs, and I believe they reached out to me because they knew he was in a bad place. He knew he was in a bad place, and I would be the one with the strength they could possibly step in and rectify that situation to get him into a better place and a little safer situation. And I pushed him away coldly. I pushed him away, and now today I feel the pain of that. Nowhere near probably what most people feel emotionally in a loss like that, but I do feel it. I think about it, yet I'm still very distant. Even with the other siblings that are crushed by the whole situation, I've actually become even more distant with them, which is sad. And I make this video, and many would say, well, we can tell you actually care. You should open up. You should talk to them and try to reel them back in, try to have that bond. But that's not how I'm built, ladies and gentlemen. That's not how I'm built. I grew up on the harder side. I'm not saying the harder side like I grew up in the ghetto and I didn't have money, and that's not at all the case. I didn't. I grew up with a harder emotional side that I deflected pain rather than trying to understand it or bond with others to build emotional ties. I didn't trust anybody, and to this day I still don't, other than my wife. And that's a hard way to live life. Not trusting people is difficult. And she even says that, I'm still dark. I'm still not as openly emotional as I should be. And I have to agree, I'm not. And hopefully through time that gets better, but I don't know. I can't say it would. But I think that's something important I need to share with you, because you guys are becoming very engaged within my channel and showing so much support, so much love, and I'm so appreciative of that, with all the subscribers and the comments. And you guys have really built up a support system for me that's amazing, and it's humbling for me to even think that it's possible. I never thought it was possible when I started this endeavor. I can't even really think back to the exact way I felt about it, but I didn't think it would ever be anything like this. I felt as though I had an opportunity to maybe help others that had lived a life kind of in the same direction as I had, and maybe could help open other people's minds and hearts to understanding and helping some of these people that literally need help. And a part of this growth and maturity is me being able to grasp something like what Steve and Xana's parents and Ethan's parents and Maddie's parents are going through, because yes, they've lived their life in the routes that they've taken, and maybe I don't fully understand or like the way they've done it, but that's not my place. I do speak my opinions, and I do speak my feelings on these things, and I'm not going to stop doing that, because that's who I am. And I feel as though I can offer some perspectives that open people's eyes, but emotionally I cannot state that they're in the wrong, and I cannot condemn their actions based off the fact that I don't have that same emotional capability. But in thinking about it, and I'm going to compare myself for 1 minute with Steve, a lot of people are stating that he maybe is going up and beyond and overboard in regards to finding justice for his daughter. And the route that he's going, he's very vocal, he's very in your face, and maybe he is trying to meet up with witnesses behind the scene to get information. He did hire his own private investigator. He is all about the death penalty in this case, and that's all his right, because in thinking about it, if somebody were to come take my wife from me right now, this world would be turned upside down, and there would be nothing that could stop me from doing it. There would be nothing that could get in my way. I don't care if the FBI were to threaten me to not talk to a witness, or else I would be in front of the repercussions of my actions. nothing would stop me from handling it the way that I felt I had to handle it. Nothing. So I have to be open-minded to the way that these families are trying to grieve and handle the situation as well. And that's why I want to get back today. I was very harsh on the Howard Bloom situation yesterday. No, I do not agree with any type of books or publications being put out before the actual finalization of this trial and case, because of the fact we don't know the truth at this point. We don't know the final chapters that would need to be written for this to be a full story. But there's some truth, I believe, behind some of the statements that are being made, and I think some investigations are going to come to light, and there's going to be some digging that's going to transpire. So I can't be as angry towards Howard now, today, after my thinking, because I've rationalized a little bit of what's going on. And he did not clearly state that the information came from Steve or the family. I'm sure there's numerous voices out there that are giving the information. There's many sources. There's many. And, you know, some of us may even have an idea who we think they are, and, you know, that so be it. But just to interject, I mean, just to finalize it, I mean, I had to laugh when they said, oh, he made the boyfriend come over and do a full-out strip search to make sure he didn't have markings on his body. And at first I'm like, man, that's absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. I mean, somebody come take my wife, and I think a strip search might be the least amount of pain that I inflict on somebody if I think they have some involvement in something that happened. So a little bit of opening up for you, and that's something I want all of you guys to know. A part of this channel is my perception based off my experiences, based off my past. And I think an important part of that is you get to know me a little bit better, and the way I think, the emotional aspect of the way I handle things. Because if you don't understand who I am, or why I'm thinking the way I do, or the emotional tie of how I look at things, you may not fully understand what my channel is all about. And maybe I won't get my point across as well to you, because it wouldn't make sense, because we're emotionally on different wavelengths. And I'm very appreciative. I'm very humbled by all of you. I'm very thankful. Quick notes just to finalize this up. I will be doing a question and answers video based off of the questions that you have all put into the comments. I will be hitting as many as I possibly can in a shorter time frame to ensure the video doesn't take up your whole day. For the ones that I do not get to in the video, breathe easy, it'll be okay, because I have a live coming up that I'm looking at doing on Thursday. I will tackle more questions during that, as well as speak upon not only the Idaho 4 case, a little bit of the Delphi case, but I'm hoping my wife will join me, and we will do some live where you guys will get to know the pair of us a little bit more in a live active setting rather than just a video. I know she'll be a little nervous, but I think she'll get through it. You guys will be able to get to know us, ask us some questions, and we'll do our best to kind of guide you into what we're about and who we are. That way this channel stays on the family mold. We're all together. For every one of you that's subscribed, you're my family. I look forward to talking to you again soon, and thank you. Have a great day.